Hey, Scott here, and today I'm going to review the Allbirds Wool Runner. And this is their original shoe. This is what started everything. This review's a long time coming. I have a pair of these that I'm excited to talk to you about. This is what Allbirds calls their 98% of the time shoe, and I couldn't agree more. In this video, we're going to talk about the fit, the finish, the durability, the sustainable materials, the ethical construction. We're going to touch a little bit on the overall shoe marketplace that's out there, what Allbirds is doing to make their shoes more sustainable, what they're not doing, and the state of the overall footwear market. I can't wait to get into this with you. Stay tuned and let's jump into it. Today, more than 20 billion pairs of shoes are manufactured globally every year. Unfortunately, it's proving to be a very challenging process to mass produce a fully sustainable line of shoes. There's a few companies that are working on it. Adidas is working on a shoe made of a single polymer, which is sort of the holy grail. But right now, there's very few sustainable solutions that convert to mass market products in the footwear industry. That said, not only does the shoe industry produce massive amounts of carbon dioxide, but it's also releasing many toxins, chemicals, and fossil fuels into the atmosphere, all of which are harmful to the planet and to us. The production of a typical pair of shoes, just one pair of shoes, generates a staggering 30 pounds of carbon dioxide emissions. And that's just one part of the shoe life cycle. From extracting the raw materials that come out of the ground to make these shoes, to transporting these shoes from the far-off factories where they're produced in conditions that are often unethical and dangerous, to the glut of discarded shoes that's ending up in our landfills every year. The detrimental impact of the footwear industry on the environment really can't be overstated, and it can't be overlooked at this point. The good news is that the global market for sustainable footwear is growing fast. Valued at $7.5 billion in 2019, it's expected to grow 5.8% annually between 2020 and 2027. Consumers are the ones that are really driving this growth. They're demanding more than just style and comfort, and many of them are now prioritizing sustainability as well. And we're finally starting to see some sustainable shoe options coming to pass from manufacturers that are really prioritizing this as part of their overall business strategy. Now, in particular, some inspired and impressive footwear companies are making giant strides where it comes to sustainability, thanks to a winning combination of commitment to doing better, like this company Allbirds, coupled with scientific and technological advancements in the fabrics and the polymers that are making up these products. So what you're starting to see with a number of these different fashion companies is that they're almost becoming material sciences companies. These brands are in many cases innovating their own sustainable product, their own sustainable materials that they're using in the production of their garments. In this case, in the footwear industry, you have a company like Allbirds, which actually invented this merino wool blend that they are using in their shoes. And then you have a company like Pangaea, who I recently did a video on. I'll put a link to it up here. They're a similar case where they're actually a material sciences company as well, working on innovative blends. They're using seaweed in some of their clothing. They're using natural dyes. They're using organic cotton. They're using a lot of these incredible recycled and natural ingredients, or natural materials, I should say, in the production of their garments. So it's really something that more and more companies are embracing. And the reason that I've created this channel is to highlight what some of those companies are doing so that the word gets out that you can consider these alternatives to some of the conventional brands, and that it's a little bit easier to find some of these companies. A company like Allbirds, they're pretty well known these days, but you take a company like Pangaea or some of these other sort of offshoot upstart manufacturers, and there's really no information or little information out there about them. They have a hard time competing and getting the word out in these very competitive industries. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to put this channel together for you, is to let you know about some of the companies that I'm coming across in my everyday work in the area of sustainability, and just wanted to pass that information on to you. If you take Allbirds, for example, using merino wool, which is held to the highest standards of farming management and animal welfare, the company is able to use 60% less energy than it would with typical synthetic materials to manufacture their product. The shoelaces of these shoes are made from recycled plastic bottles, and the soles of these shoes are made from sugarcane rather than fossil fuels. And the company is closely tracking the amount of greenhouse gases produced through its entire supply chain. They're dramatically lowering the environmental impact of each pair of shoes it produces by using natural and recycled materials in the construction of their garments. So right now, Allbirds is not able to get their manufacturing process fully to carbon neutral. So they're investing in independently certified organizations that extract carbon from the atmosphere, create renewable energy, and capture methane emissions. These types of investments are known as carbon offsets. And through the purchase of these carbon offsets, the company right now, today, is operating as a carbon neutral organization. So even though they're manufacturing these shoes in places across the world, they're not, between the ability that they have to make a sustainable product and coupled with their investment in carbon offsets, this is actually a fully neutral, carbon neutral organization, which is incredible in the footwear industry. I mean, that's just a milestone at the scale that this company is operating at. Again, these are imperfect solutions, and I'm familiar with the concerns around the practice of investing in carbon offsets. But when the competition in the shoe industry is doing so very little, the efforts that Allbirds is making to lessen their environmental impact are notable, if not even unprecedented at this scale. So just to give you some context to what a ruthless and competitive industry that Allbirds is competing in, Amazon, like one of the biggest companies in the world, who themselves are supposedly environmentally conscious, and they have been making finally some investments into the sustainability sector through Jeff Bezos's philanthropy. But Amazon, through their shoe company, released a knockoff shoe that's nearly identical to the Allbirds Wool Runner called the Galen. And the Galen looks nearly identical to the Wool Runner, but sells for half the price on Amazon's website. Now, these knockoff shoes have a wool upper, but they use mostly synthetic materials for the sole and the rest of the construction. There's no mention anywhere about the sustainability practices on Amazon's website in how they're manufacturing these shoes, and it's very likely that they're produced conventionally, and there's none of what the Allbirds organization is doing as far as sustainability goes. In fact, recently in Fast Company magazine, Joey Zwillinger, the CEO and co-founder of Allbirds, he addressed this topic, and he said while he'd prefer that the company just wouldn't copy Allbirds' design at all, it's not the similarities in design that bother him most, it's that the company didn't go so far as to copy Allbirds' stringent sustainability requirements that really bothers him. Zwillinger believes that the biggest online retailer in the world has a lot of power to induce the entire industry to become much more sustainable than what they are now. As Zwillinger said, if Amazon demanded that all of their third-party brands were carbon neutral, it would have an enormous impact on the environment and have a market effect on reducing global emissions. Now, Tim Brown, the other co-founder and CEO of Allbirds, said in an interview with the Sourcing Journal that Allbirds isn't just making sustainable shoes for the sake of being sustainable. We're making, and this is his quote, we're making the best shoe that we can, and we're making it as sustainably as possible. But we're not making the most sustainable shoe. He says there's a nuance there and a big difference. So what the brand is trying to do is make one of the most comfortable shoes on the market. Comfort is the number one reason why people buy shoes, but it is very seldom paired with good design, he said. So the idea that we've brought beautiful design craft to the execution of a classic silhouette with a focus on sustainable materials, I think that's why people are coming to us. And I couldn't agree with him more. These shoes are some of the most comfortable that I've ever worn. The materials are sustainable. You feel it in the wear of the shoe. It's breathable, it's comfortable. These are fantastic. Allbirds exclusive woolen textiles are created in a mill outside of Milan using superfine New Zealand merino wool. This is typically reserved for luxury brands, and you see this in fine suits. The fibers are 1/5 the diameter of human hair, making the material not only incredible lightweight and surprisingly durable, also breathable, odor minimizing, moisture wicking, temperature regulating, itch free, and dirt resistant. Allbirds says, or Tim Brown says, Allbirds' design approach is also based on curating and improving instead of purely creating. We make only one shoe in each category we go into, rather than the traditional approach, which might be a full range or ever-changing roster of products, Brown said. We deliver one solution to a particular problem and maniacally focus on each detail. It shows. The wool is sourced from the ZQ certified New Zealand merino company, meaning it's top of its class in terms of sustainable practices, land use, and animal care. Allbirds wool requires 60% less energy to produce than the average synthetic shoe material, while the brand's insoles use natural castor beans in place of polyurethane. So again, layer on layer on layer of sustainable practices here. The brand uses packaging made from 90% recycled cardboard and says that one recycled plastic bottle equals one pair of Allbirds laces. So this winter, why not choose to support sustainable footwear companies and the cool kicks that they're putting out into the world? If you'd like to kick your sustainable style up another notch, pair your Allbirds with a pair of arvingoods socks, another company I did a video on, made from recycled cotton. Check out our video on this innovative provider of undergarments right here. And if you want, in the comments, I'd love to know your opinion on recycled undergarments. Are you of the mind that it's okay, that the idea of your socks or your underwear might have come from another garment that had been previously worn? Does that not work well for you? I'm curious. I'm wearing a pair right now. You can't really see because of where the camera is, but I wear almost exclusively Arvin socks. I love their product. I think they're fantastic. They're a little more money, but they're working towards a closed loop manufacturing process, and I talk about that a lot in the video. I really like the company, what they're up to. Also, visit the Consciousness in Everyday Life blog for the full list of sustainable footwear recommendations. There's more videos to come, so if you don't want to miss out on our recommendations for sustainable winter boots, sustainable dress shoes, and other winter weather gear, hit the subscribe button before you go, so this way you're notified anytime we come out with a new video. You'll see that we've come out. You'll be able to see the recommendations. If you know of any other brands we should be considering for these reviews, drop a link in the comments. I'm always looking for new tips on sustainable fashion companies, sustainable footwear, you name it. Thank you very much for tuning in. I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you so much. And let me know what you think of this video. If you know, I'm new to this, so I'm just starting out. I'm just starting these videos. Let me know what you think. If I'm doing great, let me know. If I'm not doing so well, let me know that as well. And I appreciate the time you spent watching. Take care.